Um, First and foremost, let's give all honor, praises, and glory to the Most High. And we do so by Sham HaMashiach Yahushai, not by Shem, but by Sham HaMashiach Yahushai. It's your brother Sadiq back at it with another lesson. So I think I'm going to start a new series called My Worst Enemy, Myself, right? And what is this all about, right? So a lot of us, pretty much every one of us, right? We all have those habits, those behavior patterns that are destructive to our own self, right? Those patterns that don't benefit us in no type of way. And these patterns, they can literally bring us to the bottom, right? It may feel good for the brief moment. You may get that brief sense of gratification, from indulging in whatever behavior pattern you may indulge in. But in the end, it's nothing but self-destruction. We all, well, maybe not all, but it used to be a song in the 90s, it ain't nothing but self-destruction, So as always, let's open up with the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And it reads, "And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all by Sham HaMashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by Sham HaMashiach Yahushai." So everything that we say, everything that we do it all in the name of the anointed Savior. And that's what we always must keep first, that we're doing it all in the name of the anointed Savior. So we have to get rid of these demons, because that's really what they are. Self-destruction is nothing but demons that plague your mind, telling you to pick up that blunt. There are demons that tell you to don't keep the Most High Sabbath day. Go party with your friends. That's all self-destruction is. It's nothing but demons that just constantly plague you, right? So the first thing we're going to talk about, because like I said, I want this to be like a mini series I want to put together, because this is something that we constantly deal with on a daily basis. It's not something it's a one time fixes all your problems, right? It's something that we constantly have to deal with, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is going to be the first behavioral pattern I want to talk about, behavioral habits I want to talk about, is substance abuse, right? So substance abuse could be anything like excessive alcohol, drugs, even stuff like prescription medication, right? We see that's something big now, right? People are getting addicted to all types of prescription medication that has opioids in it, that cause you to be bugged out your mind. You got places out in Philadelphia, what's that place called? Kensington. Even around here in Hollywood, right? Pulling up to Hollywood, you see people lean and bent all over because they're drugged out of their mind, right? So let's go first and foremost, because we're going to talk about alcohol and drug abuse. Let's go to the book of Proverbs. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 23. Let's go to Proverbs, chapter 23. So this is the book of Proverbs. Let's see, I want Proverbs 23 and let's see, Proverbs 23 and verse 20. So this is the book of Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 20. And it reads, "Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh." So the scriptures is telling us, if you have a problem where you deal with things like alcohol abuse, it says don't be around people that all they want to do is just get drunk. That's all they want to do. They just want to drink. They know all the newest tequilas. They know the latest vodkas out there. They know what's going to get you the most drunkest. You drink beer through a straw, that's going to get you a lot more drunk than just drinking beer straight out of the can. Right, you don't want to be around people that's going to promote self-destructive habits, right? Let me read that again. Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 20. "Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty." So it says a person that's drunk is going to come to poverty, right? A person that's drunk is going to come to poverty. And we've seen it all the time. People trying to find the bottom of that bottle of whiskey. and then they hung out on the block corner, strung out. They don't know what happened to them. They don't know what happened the night before. They just find themselves on the curb somewhere, just drunk out of their mind, reeking of alcohol, right? It says, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags, right? Because, you know, people, they'll be on the corner, they'll have a little sign, just need $1, just need 50 cents. What are they going to do with that money? As soon as they get enough money, they're going to go right to that liquor store. They're going to go right to the corner store. You know, we've all seen it time and time again. We all have family members, or know people, have loved ones that all they do is like drinking. This is a self-destructive behavior right here, right? This is you being your own worst enemy. You become your own ops, right? If Satan want to spin the block on you, all he do is tell you, hey, go pick up that alcohol bottle, right? If Satan want to spin the block on you, you have that friend call you up and say, you know what? I just got a 2 cans of Steel Reserve. One is for you, right? I just got a bottle of Jack Daniels, right? I got a glass already poured for you, right? That's nothing but self-destruction. You being your worst enemy, right? Let's go on to the let's move on. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 5. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 5. Let's get some more precepts on this, right? Isaiah chapter 5, and let's go to verse 11. It says, woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night till wine inflame them. Now we all know those people. They're drunk before 11 o'clock. They're drunk before noonday. They rise up and they're already stumbling. They're already ready to fight. Are they already being sad? You know how people get when they're drunk. Their emotions, they fluctuate. You know, you got the happy drunks. You got the mad drunks. You got the ones that want to give everybody a hug type drunks, right? But they rise up early just so they can find that bottom of that alcohol, and they don't stop. They wake there instead of waking up in the morning, right, and praying to the Most High, and then go having a glass of orange juice. They wake up into the morning and they start scratching their head, right? They go take a piss, right, and they go they open that refrigerator to see if there's anything inside there for them to drink, because they had a hangover last night, right? So what's the solution? We all know the solution to having a hangover. Oh, you got to drink a beer. You got to drink something else, more and more and more. Just adding on to you being a damn drunkard, right? Let's read on. It says, in the harp and the viol, the tabret and pipe and wine are in their feasts, but they regard not the work of the Most High. Because you know what? When you're drunk out of your mind, you ain't thinking about the Most High. When you're passed out on that couch, you ain't thinking about the Most High. Right? Your mind is somewhere else. Right? Your mind is somewhere else, thinking about whatever you got going on. You know, thinking about them bills, right? Thinking about your woman that left you. Thinking about your man that's dealing with somebody else, that's dealing with your best friend, right? That's what your mind is on. Your mind is on some type of foolish and folly. It says, neither consider the operation of his hands. Because when you're drunk, you make stupid mistakes. Right? You get drunk and you get behind a car and then you go unalive a whole family. Right? When you're drunk, you may end up unaliving your own brother, your own kids and stuff like that, because you become negligent, because your thoughts are now become clouded. Right? So this is why it's not wise to be a drunkard and drink if you already have a problem with drinking. Right? If you have a problem with drinking, you should not be drinking. Right? You should go seek help. Right? Let's go to another topic, right? Let's talk about overeating. Overeating, right? People that overeat, these are people that use food as a comfort mechanism. These are people that food is what makes them feel better. So the same thing how maybe picking up a blunt may make somebody feel good, right? Picking up that little Debbie cupcake makes them feel good, but they constantly do it. They constantly eat it. I remember back in the day, right? back in the day, I remember going to the Little Debbie factory. I believe it's in Arkansas, right? And it was a train that came straight to the Little Debbie factory, right? And that train was full of nothing but sugar, right? It used to be semi trucks that pull into this Little Debbie factory, right? Forgive me if I'm wrong about where it was at, but I remember, right? The trucks, right? 40,000 pounds worth of sugar going straight to the Little Debbie factory, right? This is crazy. Little Debbie ain't little. To keep it real with you, Little Debbie ain't little. They should call her Big Debbie, right? To be honest with you. And that's what you become when you overeat, when you overindulge in food and you become a glutton, right? Let's get some precepts on that, because a lot of people, they use food as a mechanism to cope with some type of trauma, right? This cope with some type of trauma. People, they use food as that mechanism to cope, right? Let's go to the book of let's see what I want. Philippians. Let's go to Philippians. Let me see. Philippians chapter 3, and let's start at verse 18. It says, "For many walk, of whom I have told you." Actually, no, that's not what I want. Actually, yeah, we'll start there. Actually, verse 19. Philippians chapter 3 and verse 19. It says, "Whose end is destruction, whose power is their belly." You see that? That's self-destruction. Because now you have made your belly, that's your God. And you must feed your God more and more and more. Your stomach is nothing but the size of your fist. That's about how big your stomach is, the size of your fist. But now that stomach has now become your God, right? It's become your deity, and you serve that God. You serve that idol, your stomach. And you keep on eating. From the time you wake up, you're eating. From the time you go to sleep, you're eating. And everything in between, you're snacking on something. Kind of like a cow that's grazing, just chewing, always constantly chewing on something. Something's in your mouth, right? Pause. Let's read on. "Whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame." Right? Because a lot of people, they want to glorify being overweight, glorify being fat, a fat person, right? There's no glory in being fat, right? Fat shaming actually needs to come back, right? When people used to get clowned and shamed for being overweight, nobody should be praising it and saying that, this is my body and stuff like that, and I do what I want to. Well, yeah, it is your body. Well, actually, it's the Most High's body, and He's leasing it to you. But if you're overweight, you're obese and stuff like that, you should be shamed for it, because that's now your glory. That's your honor. That's what you use to put yourself up on a pedestal, right? And it's not okay. It's nothing but self-destruction, right? That's Satan, right? Spinning the block on you, telling you to indulge, eat. And next thing you know, you can't even get out of the house, right? Next thing you know, you got shows called like My 600-Pound Life, right? You got just a whole bunch of just foolishness, right? Because you can't stop overeating, right? Let's go to the book of Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. And what we're talking about, my worst enemy, myself. Your worst enemy is you. You are your own worst enemy. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 18. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 18, and let's go to let's go to verse 30. Ecclesiasticus chapter 18 and verse 30. It says, "Go not after thy lust," because what's your lust, right? Your lust is what you like to indulge in. Your lust is what you cannot stop participating in and partaking in. Your lust could be women. Your lust could be alcohol. Your lust could be drugs. Right now, the lust we're talking about right now is what? Overeating. Constantly eating more and more and more. It says, go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetites. It says, refrain yourself, hold yourself back, have some type of discipline, right? It says, let me read on. It says, if thou givest thy soul the desires that please her. Now, that can be talking about women, right? But also the desires that please you in the context we're talking about right now is overeating, eating too much, right? It says, she will make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies that malign thee. She will make you a laughing stock, right? Because back in the day when I was growing up, right? Back in the I was born in the 80s, but I was raised in the 90s, right? Back in the 90s, right? You had a movie called What's Eating Gilbert Grape, right? And that's literally how life was. If you had somebody in your family that was overweight, obese, they were getting clowned. We all got them light-skinned, overweight grandmas, right? We all had them, right? And you didn't want to be seen out in public like that, because your friend from school may see your grandma. Your friend from school may see your overweight dad, right? Your overweight mom, your overweight sibling, and start clowning on you, make you a laughing stock, right? But now we inside of this new age, right, where everything has to be politically correct. You got to watch people's feelings, because if you don't, everyone's going to melt like a snowflake. Well, guess what? It's not going to be no obese people in the kingdom of the Most High, right? And this is why we're coming at you right now, because open rebuke is better than secret love. This is something that your lying, pork chop eating pastor will not tell you. Your pork chop eating pastor is not going to tell you to back away from the table, right? Your pork chop eating pastor is going to say, have another plate. Oh, that boy looking a little skinny. Let's fatten him up a little bit, right? Let's read on. It says, actually no, let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus 31. Let's just jump over a couple chapters over, right? Because we're talking about my worst enemy, myself. My worst enemy is myself. That man or that woman in the mirror, that's your worst enemy. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 31. Ecclesiasticus chapter 31. And let's go to verse, let me see what verse I want. Ecclesiasticus chapter 31, and let's jump down to verse 19. It says, a very little is sufficient for a man well nourished, right? So it says a small portion is good for a man or a woman that's well nourished. So a man or a woman that has a balanced diet, right? They have the grains, they have their greens, their veggies, right? And maybe just a little portion of meat, right? Maybe have a little bit of lean meat, right? Maybe some lamb, maybe a little bit of beef, maybe some fish, some salmon, right? Some sea bass, some whitey, flounder, just a little bit. It says a very little is sufficient for a man well nourished, because that's all a person that's healthy needs, right? But a person that's not healthy, they're going to need all the sugar. They're going to need all the carbs. They're going to need all the snacks and the desserts. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a little bit of desserts here and there. I'll be the first one to admit, right? Because I can be my own worst enemy, right? I love eating baked goods, cookies, cakes and things like that. And I also got to push away a little bit from it, have a little discipline, say no to it. So this lesson is not just for the people that's going to view this, the listening audience, but it's also for myself as well, right? It says, when thou, actually no, a very little is sufficient for a man well nourished, and he fetcheth not his wind short up on his bed. I mean, he ain't going to be passing a lot of gas. He's not going to be farting everywhere because you haven't overate and now you're all bloated and now you're just passing gas, right? Verse 20. It says, sound sleep cometh of moderate eating, meaning you're not going to be tossing and turning when you eat in moderation, right? You're not going to wake up with a stomach ache. You're not going to need some damn Pepto-Bismol. It says, he riseth early and his wits are with him, but the pain of watching and choler, right? That means nauseous. Choler is being nauseous. It says, and pains of the belly are with an unsatiable man. right? Meaning he always having some type of he always has something going on. He's always having some issue, right? Some problem, right? Let's read on. It says, and if thou hast been forced to eat, arise, so go forth, vomit, and thou shalt have rest. So it says if you are having you overate, right? The Bible is telling you to go to the bathroom and throw that stuff up if you overate, so it can make you feel better. This is advice from the Most High right here. This is wisdom from the brother Sirach, right? This is wisdom from Sirach, telling you what you need to do if you have overeat. Who he got this wisdom from? Who he got this wisdom from? The Most High, right? Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 37, and let's go to verse 20. Let me see. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 37, and let's go to verse 29. It says, be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. It means it's right there. It says stop being so damn greedy. Stop wanting to eat every single thing you see, right? Learn how to fast more, right? Learn how to eat in moderation. It says, verse 30, for excess of meats bringeth sickness. You see that? It bringeth sickness, stomach ache, being a diabetic, right? It says, nor too greedy upon slacking. For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and suffering and turn in color, meaning makes you nauseous, right? So let's talk about one last topic, right? You know, because I don't want to overwhelm. I want people to really consider this. I want you guys to really consider this. I want the 12 tribes of Israel to really consider this, because we may be so quick, so fast with the scriptures and the precepts, but are we applying these precepts? Are we actually doing these precepts? Are we doing these things, right? Are we studying this stuff and then applying the things that we study, right? And praying that the Most High, he increases our fear, right? He increases our wisdom. He increases our understanding, right? Let's go. Let's talk about now. The last part I'm talking about is procrastination. Procrastination, right? Procrastination, that's a big one. That's something a lot of us deal with, and it's something that starts as a child. Procrastination starts as a child, right? And a quick definition of procrastination is consistently delaying important tasks. That's the running definition we're going to use today, right? It says consistently delaying important tasks, leading to missed opportunities, stress, and performance. So you are delaying the important things that you need to do. You are delaying the inevitable. You are delaying the inevitable. And remember, the inevitable, it will always find you. Right? So let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 10 and verse 4. It says, he becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand. That's procrastination right there. If you don't get up and do the work, you are going to be on the streets. If you don't get up and do the work, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. If you don't get up and do the work, you're not going to make it to the kingdom of heaven. If you are some type of keyboard warrior, right? You are nothing but a digital minister. You are not going to make it to the kingdom of heaven if you are not actually doing the work. You are not putting the plow to the ground and actually doing the work, right? TD Jakes, that's a digital minister, a keyboard preacher, a behind the scenes damn internet deacon. That's what he is, right? Creflo Dollar, right? This is an internet bishop, an internet deacon, right? These are people that aren't actually out there on the front lines doing the work to raise up the people, right? It says, he becometh poor, Proverbs 10 verse 4. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. So the person that doesn't procrastinate, right, but that gets out there and does the work, he goes to the job, he clocks in, right? You do the work of the Most High, right? You don't put off projects and things to a later date, right? That's what makes you rich, right? And what we want to be rich with the wisdom and the understanding of the Most High. Because having that fear which is the beginning of wisdom, that's what's going to give us the kingdom of heaven right there. Having that healthy fear for the Most High, right? Let's get another precept. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 12. We can get a couple from Proverbs, right? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 12, and let's go to Proverbs chapter 12, and let's go to verse 24. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule. That means the person that's not procrastinating, right? That's out on them corners teaching the word, right? That's doing weekly classes, right? That's doing something for the ministry. If you're if you're somehow assisting your husband or assisting your ministry, right? It says the hand of the diligent shall bear rule. So those people, those men and women that are actually trying to bring in and usher in the kingdom of heaven, those are the ones that's going to bear rulership. If you're not doing the work of the Most High, forget about trying to bear rulership anywhere, right? You're going to be fighting for rulership in the kingdom or inside of the lake of fire. That's what your rulership is going to be. Your rulership is going to be the lake of fire, right? It says, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute, right? The ones that procrastinate, right, are not going to make it. The ones that procrastinate are on a quick path to becoming destruction, becoming destroyed. You are your own worst enemy, right? Procrastination is you having your own worst enemy. Procrastination is your worst enemy, right? That is Satan spinning the block back on you, right? And giving you that spirit of procrastination, right? Let's go to Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 4. It says, the soul of the sluggard desireth. So the ones that are lazy, you are going to desire, you're going to want, you're going to need a place to stay. You're going to be begging for food, right? You're going to be asking for handouts, right? It says the soul of the sluggard desire. You're going to desire the kingdom of heaven, but you're not going to get it because you procrastinated during this lifetime right here. You didn't take heed. You didn't take heed to the scriptures, and you didn't want to apply the scriptures, right? You became a sluggard. It says the soul of the sluggard desire and hath nothing. I mean, you have nothing coming for you, right? Those that are strung out on drugs and stuff like that on the corner, those are people that have given up on life right there, right? They let depression get the best of them. They let whatever they had going on get the best of them, and now they have nothing. They are destroyed, right? The ones that are not, the 2/3, those are the ones that have nothing. Nothing coming but the lake of fire, right? It says, the soul of the sluggard desireth and have nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Those ones that want to get out there and do the work, those ones that are not procrastinators, right? Those are the ones that are going to receive the kingdom of heaven. Those are the ones that deserve the kingdom of heaven, right? Let's go to the book of let's go to the book of actually, let's get one more from Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 9. Proverbs 18 and 9. He also that is slothful in his works is brother to him that is a great waster. So if you're a procrastinator, it says you are the brother to those that is a great waster. I mean, you're going to hang around other people that ain't got nothing going on. You're going to hang around other idle minds, right? What's the old saying? An idle mind is what? The devil's playground. So you're going to hang around other people that ain't got nothing going on. You're just going to want to just be on the corner, be on the block. That's it, right? Let's go to the book of Romans. Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12. Let's see. Let's go to Romans chapter 12 and let's go to verse 11. Romans 12 and 11. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit. You see that? It says don't be slothful in business, but fervent in your spirit. Because when you got the spirit to do something, you're actually going to now physically do it, right? It says serving the Most High, right? So those that don't want to do the work of the Most High, those are slothful spirits, right? Those are ones that's going to say, you know what? I'm just going to come in the kingdom of heaven through you, through your seed line. I seen you out there on the corner doing the work. I know that you're going to make it. You know what? Hey, I'll just live it up here right now, and I'll come through your sperm. I'll come through your lineage, right? That's not what's going to happen right there, right? You have to do the work right now. You have to do the things you need to do right now. And not counting myself as one that have achieved and made it, but the brothers and the sisters that are out there that's doing the work. So you're not going to come through the sperm of a man that's out teaching his word, a man that's out sacrificing every single Sabbath day, right? A man that's out sacrificing his time, his money, all his resources every single Sabbath day to come teach the people the fear of the Most High, right? To teach the people that we need to learn who Hamashiach the Hawashai is. You're not going to have that same portion. Your portion will be the lake of fire, right? Let's go to the book of let's go to the book of so we can get a couple more. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 7. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 7 and verse 15. Hate not laborious work. So the Bible says, don't hate to work. Don't hate to, don't make it a dreadful thing to go out and teach the word of the Most High. It says, hate not laborious work, right? Don't be afraid to get up in the morning and go clock in the clock, you know, and do the work. Don't say, oh, you know, we in captivity, well, I ain't about to do work for nobody. No. It says, hate not laborious work. That means go in there. If you can do overtime, but don't do overtime on the Sabbath day. Do overtime throughout the 6 days of the week, right? If you have to pick up extra hours, extra shift and whatnot, the Bible says do it. It says, hate not laborious work, neither husbandry, which the Most High hath ordained. This is what the Most High ordained. The Most High ordained for you to put in overtime in this truth. The Most High ordained it. If you're not putting in overtime in this word right here, you ain't gonna make it to the kingdom of heaven, right? I always constantly think of what more can I do for the Most High. We should always have that inside our mindset. What more can we do for the Most High? Have I done enough yet? No, you haven't done enough. Keep on working. Keep on clocking in. Keep on punching in on that time clock. Don't ever stop. Don't ever give up, right? It says, hate not laborious work, neither husbandry, which the Most High ordained, right? Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 11. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha chapter 11, and let's go to verse 9. Strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not. It says don't go to things that don't concern you. Why not? Why don't go to those things that don't concern you? Because now it becomes a waste of time. And when you waste time, you can't get that time back. So it says don't go to things that don't concern you. Don't be going meddling in other people's business, because guess what? It's now going to make you a procrastinator. It's going to take you from off of your pivot, right? It says strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not, and sit not in judgment with sinners. My son, meddle not with many matters. It says don't be trying to get involved with a whole bunch of foolishness of this world right here, right? Be focused on doing the work of the Most High, right? It says, for if thou meddle much, thou shalt not be innocent. Meaning you get involved in that foolishness, guess what? You are going to be guilty. Your hands are going to have blood on them, right? Because you should have been not procrastinating and dealing with foolishness, but you should have been doing the work of the Most High. You should have been doing something that's going to be beneficial to you not becoming your own worst nightmare. It says, thou shalt not be innocent, and if thou follow after, thou shalt not obtain. Meaning, what you're not going to attain? You're not going to attain the kingdom of heaven. If you follow after foolishness, you are not going to attain the kingdom of heaven. This is thus saith the Most High, right? It says, neither shalt thou escape by fleeing. That means it's going to be nowhere to run, and there will be nowhere to hide, right? So with that, that's going to be the first episode of my own worst enemy, myself. I want y'all to stay tuned. Please like, share, subscribe to the channels. Share the Wisdom Israelite City of Angels. Subscribe to Freestyle Wild. Hit us up. We're living in these last days, and we must get it right now, right? So with that, I want to say, Kwam Abanaw Yahweh, Kwam Hamashiach Yahushai, and Kwam Yasha Allah. I'm out.